everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am Dr. Kimberly Leverett, the Executive Director of Education and Training with the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce. And this afternoon, I have three very special guests, and we're going to just have a great conversation around early childhood. As you know, we have created in partnership with the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network, sort of a back to school essentials that we really wanted to highlight for our parents. And last week we had a great discussion about creating home learning environments. And this afternoon we will continue a different discussion around early childhood. So I would like to welcome back Danielle Brown, excuse me, who is the Director of Partnership for the Flint and Genesee Literacy Network. Good afternoon, Ms. Brown. How are you? I would
Good
also like
afternoon. I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here.
Great, welcome back. And also joining us this afternoon, we have Miss
Thank
Cherise
you.
McLean. She is from Genesee Intermediate School District. She's the parent navigator at Educare and Cummings Great Expectations. We also have Carla Mancini, Community Programs Director of Child Care Network. Good afternoon, all, and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So let's start by just tell us a little about your organization as well as your vision and goals as it relates to early childhood.
Who would you like to start with?
Oh, go ahead, Carla. I'm sorry.
Okay. So Child Care Network was established in 1971 as a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote the success of children, families, and our community through quality childcare education, advocacy, and family support. Child Care Network has served the communities by helping families find childcare, helping families pay for childcare, and helping early learning professionals provide quality childcare. So we serve families, children, and childcare providers in 7 southeastern Michigan counties. And Child Care Network is recognized as a leader in advocating for increased access to quality early childhood education for all children.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. Cherise, tell us a little bit about your work in your organization. She's muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you
All
were
right.
muted.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, so GISD Head Start broken into a couple different components. Okay, so we have early Head Start, which is birth age to 2, serving the Flint children. And then we have Head Start, which serves the ages 3 to age 4, and sometimes 5, depending on the child's birthday. And with that, with Head Start, we serve the Beecher community, Carmen Ainsworth, and Flint school districts. We also have a GSRP, which is Great Start Readiness Program, and that program serves age 4 only. We also have Early On in Genesee County, which provides free services for infants and toddlers with developmental delays and disabilities. And then also Skip to Great Start, which provides developmental support for Genesee County for parents and children ages 0 to 5 for the children. So basically, you know, what we do with GISD Head Start and all the other departments that I just named that service these kiddos provide high quality services that support early learning, health and safety, and educational achievement. So our goal is to prepare our kiddos for grade level reading and to become productive and vested citizens.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And so I think you shared a lot in terms of the early childhood and all of the great programs that our community, Flint and Genesee County, have access to. But Cherise, can you go on and just define what is early childhood, please?
Okay, all right. So early childhood, defining that is like, oh goodness, here we go. It's like that is really embraces so much, but it's really defined to try to keep it as simple as possible as the growth and development period from birth to age 6. In the Head Start world, as I stated earlier, we service kiddos from birth to age 4, and again, sometimes 5. But preschool is considered ages 3 and 4, while our early Head Start program serves infants as early as 6 weeks and up to age 2. So early childhood, again, is really promoting and embracing education at a very, very early age. And quite often we hear, and we even see parents go, oh, when we state, oh, we accept infants as early as 6 weeks of age. And it just seems so hard to believe. But as we know, learning begins in the womb. Reading to the infant, reading to the fetus, right? That is the very first onset of learning. And so, yes, we accept babies starting from age 6 and carry them on up to age 4, getting them ready for kindergarten.
Great, thank you for that. So let's talk about how important is it for parents to establish daily routines at home, and what are the 3 most important if you had to prioritize? Carla, we'll start with you. Establishing those routines.
Okay, so well, children learn to trust adults who listen to them and acknowledge their needs and their ways of doing things. And children trust their own abilities to predict and anticipate and influence what will happen next. So children gain a sense of ease and comfort when their schedule is suited to their abilities, and they're happier and are more able to manage their emotions more easily when they know what is about to happen. So they develop a sense of security when they're able to predict events within their day and know what to expect. So routines have been proven to be effective in reducing challenging behaviors because children know the expectations throughout the different parts of the day. And the 3 most important routines might be like meal times, bedtime or rest time, and daily hygiene. But again, this could vary depending on culture and family dynamics as well.
Great, thank you. Carla, did you want to add anything to that? I'm sorry, Sharice.
Oh,
Did you want to add anything in terms of routine?
yes, absolutely. So parents establishing daily routines at home equals a win-win for both parent and child. When routines are established, the parent and child are actually entering into an agreement of high quality expectations. So the 3 most important priorities are parent prep. And I would say that's getting the parents' questions, for the parent to get their questions answered. What type of assistance do they need to ease their mind and help them feel a little more comfortable accepting and taking on new changes in their household? The second one would be setting the stage. Prepare an area for learning that will hopefully be consistent. And then lastly, minute mindfulness, preparing for the parent to prepare themselves and the child to transition from one activity to another. So an example would be transitioning from breakfast to virtual learning. So sometimes we need to kind of settle down before we take on a different task.
Thank you both for sharing. I'm the mother of a 4-year-old, so I know how important it is to establish those routines. And I know that I need to change, where she's working at right now is right, like everything is on the kitchen table, and then I have to transition when it's time for breakfast and lunch. But one of the routines that I definitely establish is we get up at the same time every day. Her clothes are all set for the week, and she has her breakfast, and then we go into our reading time and our story time. So she knows what to expect. And shortly after this call, she's going to be expecting a nap. But, making sure that you do things and establishing that consistency every day, because as you said, Carla, they look forward to that. And they are better little people because of the routines and expectations that we establish. So thank you for sharing that. So I know that there's a lot in the early childhood world, whether we're talking about GSRP, and they have, they're highly accredited. They have, I believe, 40 standards of expectation, if not more. But can you just talk briefly about data collection, what is collected? And I know it's a lot in this piece, but how is it used to inform instruction? And then the second part is, how can parents benefit from knowing about how that data informs instruction and some of the practices that can be implemented at home, even if we're just talking about setting up the classroom learning environment, or we're talking about their social emotional But how can they, parents, just in a simplified way, understand how that data is used, and then maybe how there may be 2 or 3 things that they can reinforce at home, knowing and understanding the data? Sharice?
Sharice, okay. Overall, data is collected to improve upon every aspect of what makes a high quality learning environment. And so we conduct implementation studies tracking program quality and child and family outcomes. So the study provides information to staff and parents to help better support best teaching practices and children's learning. So an example, I'll just use Educare Flint. Research focused on 4 domains of practice, which is data utilization, embedded professional development, high quality teaching practices, and intensive family engagement. So I would like to share my screen. I hope I'm going to do this right. No, that's not the right button. Let me see. Okay. Right here. Okay. So you should see title that has Educare Flint and Comings for the Expectations in our research domains as stated. And of course, with the family there in the center. So with these, again, 4 domains, what it basically equals to is closing the educational gap. And that's what it's all about. So research shows that when we implement these 4 different areas, and then pretty much that's bringing the professionalism of the staff, their expertise, intensive family engagement, and I would like to also add intentional family engagement, where we go beyond just doing what we're hired to do, but we are embracing and we are really pulling in our families to become a part of the school, because it is family altogether. High quality teaching practices and the data utilization, we are taking that information, sharing it with the parents, and then also with the staff, applying it in the classroom as well. So parent benefits from knowing how data informs instruction is 3 things basically, and I'm sure a little bit more, but understand learning, how that happens, and the tools that is used in the classroom, reflect on strengths and weaknesses for their child as well. And then also helps with learning goals and school learning goals. So there's a whole lot more to this, but to hopefully try to keep it simplified, this is what the parents actually benefit from when they actually collaborate with the classroom staff and ask those questions. Okay, like this is one that we did. I had to fill out all this paperwork or answer all these questions. Now, what is this being used for? And we share that information. They can actually even get the information online on our website. Finally, the implementation of best practices at home. How can parents use this information? Let's go back to daily routines, healthy eating and plenty of rest. Also, communicating with their child's teacher. So that's how, the research can be used as long as they stay in that good communication with their child, with the teacher. So it's understanding the assignment. It supplies this needed for the entire week or even 2 weeks in advance. The greater the communication, the better the understanding. And it's actually the work that is being transferred from school to home and home to school, which is keeping everyone balanced. Okay, and it's not confusing the child because it's the same no matter where they go, which is great. And I will also say too, for the parent to journal their experience and why, because it's good data, it's good information that we can use as well and that they can track. And then finally, for the parent to ask to be involved on the research committee. A parent's perspective is priceless, and I love the saying, nothing for us without us. So if a parent is definitely interested in becoming part of the research committee, I say go for it, because their voice definitely matters.
Thank you so much. That was so much information packed into that question, but I thank you for unpacking it. And that was intentional, Sharice, because we have to shift the conversation and bridge that gap around data. You know, a lot of times people, they don't want to look at the numbers, but data informs everyone. We live in a world where numbers and information informs us in terms of how will I take the next step with my child, and how will I take the next step in a program, whether we're talking about GSRP or we're talking about Educare and those goals and objectives. But we need to know and understand that These are high quality programs that you and Carla are working in and working with in this community, and they're research based. They're research based and they're driven by data. And these are not just these are programs that are being built for our students, as you said, from birth all the way through those early years. It's so important that people know and understand that there is a curriculum, there is parent involvement, there is data, and as you said, it is closing the gap. It is closing the gap. And that's exactly what we want these programs to do. And so just thank you for that. Great conversation. Okay, so let's talk about some of the benefits of play. One of my favorite things. What are some of the benefits of play in terms of early childhood development? Carla?
So play is definitely important for healthy brain development. So children learn through play every single day. They discover things, they learn how things work in their environment. It helps make those connections in their brains that stimulate that brain development for life experiences. And it also increases the child's creativity, which is tied to their thinking process. So play also increases their language and communication skills, which self-regulation is an essential skill that children need to be successful in school and in life. So play helps children regulate their feelings and learn ways to manage them. Children who are able to regulate their emotions are able to, let's say, stand in line or take turns or work through challenges or even name their feelings and understand how to manage them. So children who play more develop more empathy and the ability to understand other people's feelings as well, which is a lifelong skill.
Sharice, did you have anything that you wanted to add in terms of play?
Absolutely not after that. Carla covered everything. She covered it all. So no, I would not waste time repeating what she said. Great job.
Thank you.
So Carla, I'll come back to you on
I
this one.
did want to add,
Sorry.
though,
Go ahead, Danielle.
no, what I wanted to add is that right now, as we're returning back to school in this COVID space where lots of activities are happening in the home, that it can get kind of easy to feel like um, playing is annoying. Kids may be playing too much, and so the spans of those perspectives are pretty broad. But I'm just glad to hear Carla sharing and reminding us how critical play is, and then making sure that we add play into our children's day when we're working rigorously on learning the sounds of the letters and everything else, that we just remind ourselves that yes, this is a lot of work, but we also want to keep it fun, even in this type of a space that we're in right now.
Good point.
Thank you. Carla, can you talk about what are some resources that parents can take advantage of in terms of support for any concerns that they have with developmental delays?
Yeah, and I believe Sharice will probably have other things
Okay.
to add to this as well. But one, quality childcare is important because teachers can identify these developmental delays that parents might not observe. And I'm sure Sharice will share some more about this, but parents can also access Early On, which is an intervention service for infants and toddlers through Genesee Intermediate School District.
Okay, and so that was a great leeway right into, oh, here. Okay, support for developmental delays. So as Carla mentioned, you see right here, early on, it's addressing a child's developmental delays, and early on is an awesome program. But before I really jump into that a little bit, I definitely want to mention for parents to know their rights. Know your rights when it comes to your child and any type of developmental delays, or if you're not sure, even if there was not a diagnosis, you definitely have the right for your child to be screened. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to just say, hey, I have concerns. if the first person that you talk to was the classroom teacher, that's a great start. Because again, that teacher, the classroom staff works with your child daily. And if it is a student or a child that is just now entering into a school type setting, when you're meeting that teacher, state those concerns right up front. No need to be embarrassed or anything like that. It's the perfect time to put everything on the table so that we can assist the families in addressing those concerns. So again, with early on servicing infants and toddlers birth to 3 years of age. And again, Carla had mentioned it as far as assisting with the developmental delays. And I have personally worked with a few of the staff with the early on team, and it's a phenomenal program. And sometimes our parents stay with them right on up from infancy on up to age 3, which is really good. And then also we have Genesee Health Systems, GHS. And so the Children's Services and Support is a great component of Genesee Health System. And I just kind of listed, I think this is basically all that they have from the many services that they do provide. But you can see here, case management and support coordination, home-based services, wraparound services, children and family support for those that are seriously and emotionally disturbed, and then child and family support, developmental disabilities, autism services, and also neurodevelopmental center of excellence, which is something that they just added on. This particular component is fairly new for our Genesee Health System. And then there's, of course, you can see some contact information as well.
Great. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing those resources. I'm sure that our parents that are going to be watching this are going to be most appreciative. It's really comprehensive. Again, I can't say enough about the early childhood platform that you guys lead in Flint and Genesee County. And we're just hoping that this reaches more and more parents so that they can really get involved and take advantage of the resources and opportunities. So thank you, Carla and Sharice, again. So let's talk about how important is language and vocabulary in early childhood, and what are some strategies for parents to use with their children at home? Carla?
So language is another critical part of child development, and it supports your child's ability to communicate and express and understand feelings, and it supports thinking, problem solving, and developing and maintaining relationships throughout their life. So talk to your children a lot. Even when you think they do not understand, talk about feelings and name those feelings. Talk about the world around them, things you might see, but don't forget to stop and listen too, because even when babies are babbling, or toddlers and preschoolers are saying things that maybe don't make sense or whatever, they're communicating. And you should watch their body language, because body language is often a way for young children to communicate. And as you're communicating, the key is to use a lot of different words. Again, even when you think they don't understand, use a lot of different new words, expose them to new words. And, you can do this by reflecting on experiences with your child. So like a trip to grandma's, talk about the trip to grandma's, or the birds outside, talk about the birds outside, what you see, what they sound like, or in books. So reading builds language, and read a lot of books with your children.
Sharice, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yes. Thank you, Carla. That was actually a great refresher for myself. Okay, so language and vocabulary shapes relationships. As I believe Carla had mentioned as well, promotes interaction in social settings, and it's truly the foundation of expression. Language can be spoken, written, and even signed. So not having a method of communication can be very frustrating. I remember in my days of being a hearing and vision technician, where children, this would be before there was even an idea to have a student tested, have their eyes and their ears checked, angry, throwing things. constantly experiencing headaches and no one knew why. And so this is where I would step in and say, okay, maybe there's trouble of seeing, maybe there's trouble with with their ears. And most of the time, in fact, the majority of the time, there was either or both hearing and vision problems. So, and which impairs language, it impairs vocabulary, it impairs like speech to be able to formulate those words. So that is something I definitely recommend, that if a parent is noticing like slurred speech, is noticing that like the words and things just doesn't really seem to match up with communication, have your child tested, have their eyes and ears checked. Okay. We want to rule out that that is not a problem. That's not something that's hindering the hearing, because hearing, vision, all that plays a part in formulating the words and speaking. So a couple of strategies. Again, Carla had mentioned this, have conversations, make up your own story using items in the house or while you're going for a walk. Write your own storybook with your child. He or she can draw the pictures to depict the story. Write your names as the author and the date you created the storybook. It makes for a beautiful keepsake. And then lastly, create a new word calendar. Write the word on a calendar and use it for the entire day during activities and regular conversations. And then maybe have a weekend challenge where you go back to the calendar and look at each word for the day of the week, and then have your child tell you a story using each of those words that they learned during the week.
Excellent. Thank you. That is wonderful, which leads into our next discussion around talk about the importance of literacy and reading with your child for 20 minutes a day. Because this whole conversation is going back to what you talked about earlier, Sharice, about closing that achievement gap. We will close the achievement gap when we set those expectations for our students and we talk to them, like you said, about the expressive language, we engage in conversation, and we interact with our children. It's so very, very important. So can you talk a little bit about why it's important to read and have dialogue with your child for at least 20 minutes a day?
Okay, so let me share one more time. And here we go. So the impact of reading 20 minutes each day. And as we can see for child A, reading 20 minutes a day or per day, uh, let's jump right down to the 1,800,000 words per school year, compared to child B, who reads 5 minutes per day, and that's 282,000 words per school year. And then lastly, child C reads 1 minute per day, 8,000 words per school year. Okay. All right, let me jump off of sharing and get back to some strategy here. Okay, so literacy and the importance of reading to your child or children 20 minutes daily. Well, we know the saying, an apple a day keeps the what? Doctors away. Well, 20 minutes of reading a day helps to reduce, and in some cases, end generational poverty. 20 minutes a day closes the educational gap. 20 minutes a day sharpens both the child's and the parent's brain. Literacy is power. It's a power that no one can take away. It's a gateway to navigating through challenging times and reaching your goals. Literacy empowers an individual to also help someone else.
Great. Thank you for that. And this is so very important. Danielle, I know you want to chime in. Go ahead, Danielle.
What I was going to say is one of the things that I'm learning while we're at home is that the more that we that we use different types of reading materials, the more interest, especially our smaller children, have in just building around loving to be a reader. And so we're using books, but we're also using tablets. The schools, if you have children that are school age, kindergarten and above, you have Epic, and those books will read to children, and then you can read with them. And so there's a lot of resources and opportunities to expand the amount of reading that children are able to take in with parents, and then sometimes with their siblings even, making it a game, but making it something that isn't stressful by any means, but helping to build a love for reading. And these many different resources types are available at hand no cost right now. So it's a great time to build up the interest in being.
Great. Carla, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, so one thing also that children in Flint are able to sign up for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to get free books in the mail every month, which is wonderful. Who doesn't love to get free books in the mail? And then I also wanted to talk about different ways of reading. So you don't necessarily even have to read a book, especially to the much younger children. You can look through the pictures and talk about the pictures and discover, new things in the photos and make up your own story to the photos in the book. And then I just want to touch a little bit too on that, the reading gap or the language gap. So children who are read to at least 20 minutes a day, they have a higher number of words that they've been exposed to, obviously. But for children who have not been read to at least 20 minutes a day, they can have up to a 30 million word gap by the age 4. So children who are read to consistently could have 30 million more words entered into their mind by the age of 4. That is devastating for the children who have not had that much time being read to and exploring books and using encouraging words as you're exploring these books.
Great, thank you for that. And I had conducted a parent workshop, and it was around. So that's what I'm pushing. This whole my whole platform is about this 20 minutes because it's a huge opportunity that we have, and there are so many things that we can do to build up to those 20 minutes. And I tell parents maybe you want to start out with 5 minutes, then 10, then 15, but the goal is to get to 20 minutes or more daily. So when I conducted this presentation, I actually had books and I put the timer on and I was reading and interacting with the parents because I wanted them to get a feel for what that 20 minutes actually felt like. But it is so very important, and kids love repetition, repetition, repetition. My daughter loves Brown Bear. I was trying to hide that book, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. She loves the Brown Bear, and she loves Princess Baby. That's one of my favorites too. But she is mimicking those reading skills, so she's able to recognize the front cover and open it up and really engage, and it's a really cute. But it's so important. There's you can read with them in the morning, noon, and close it out at night. One of my favorites, Love You Always and Forever. I love that children's book. But again, we have to make sure that we are interacting with our children early, like you said, from birth. It starts in the womb. It absolutely starts in the womb. So again, just some closing remarks, and I will start. I thank you so much for this conversation, and I hope that we're able to come back to revisit in the near future. Thank you for being our guest this afternoon. There was a lot of information that was shared that is very exciting, and I'm sure that parents are just going to be tuned in to learn about all of the programs that have been shared here. But I always like to close with just some buzzwords that I heard as we were having the conversation this afternoon. And it's really about closing the gap for our students. It's about their language, establishing that love of learning with students, and also about reading and writing and interacting and creating those kinds of supporting environments that allow for children to thrive. And so those are my closing comments. And I just thank you all this afternoon for your time. And so we'll start with Sharice. Any closing comments?
I would say that parents, they are and have the greatest voice for their child. And without them, we would not have this type of system, this type of program that we have. But without the parents speaking up and speaking out, sharing their concerns, sharing their experiences, sharing whatever challenges that we have, it really, it sometimes it makes it more challenging to do what needs to be done in the classroom, because the information that the parents have is important, it's vital, it's crucial information to take into this learning environment, whether it's early Head Start, GSRP, it doesn't matter. So that, again, communication between home and school is so important. And I definitely want to throw in health. because the health of our children, it impacts their learning ability. Okay, so when the health is down, sometimes the attendance is down, the learning capability sinks right down with it. So communicating about the health needs, communicating about any type of needs in the home, even if it's from appliances to where it could be maybe shelter as a whole is needed. Any of those things, because anything that goes on in the home, it influences the children, and we see it in the classroom. So when there's a beautiful balance between home and school, we are really helping to break down those barriers that can cause any type of delay and really strengthen not only in the classroom, that's that family bond there, but also strengthen the family at home as well.
Thank you. Carla?
I don't know if I could follow up to that, but that was great. Parents are the experts of their children. I think Cherie's touched on that. And we know that parents want absolutely the best for their children. They want their children to be successful and happy and have wonderful lives. And, you know, and parents can do that by helping their children access quality early childhood programs, whether it's childcare, preschool, whatever that might be. Quality early childhood programs and partnering with those programs as a parent are so important. It's so important. So I'll just close with that.
Gail, any closing comments?
I just wanted to share that there are times when I've heard parents say, well, they ask for so much paperwork and it's so challenging. And then we have to take the kids to get shots at different times. And there's so many difficulties attached to signing our kids up for programming. I just want any parent that's listening who's had any challenges signing your kids up for early learning programs, partners that are here. Talk to the folks that can help you. There is help at those locations. Everyone wants every child to be connected to early learning programming. We talked earlier about data and the value of having some of the information that's requested is that we're able to create the very best programming, and that partnership with families, adding additional information and sharing just makes a even more robust opportunity for children to be successful as they transition into K-12 education. So I just wanted to let all those parents who are listening, who are saying, oh no, it's too much, that Sharice, and she has a team of people like herself at the ISD who are willing to be helpful to make sure that every single parent gets all their documents and gets them signed up. If you've started the process and you haven't completed the process, circle back and they can assist you. The other thing that I wanted to share is that a lot of the early learning centers across the community, all of them, are working very hard to make spaces are safe to have small children. I know we're concerned about COVID, but it's also a concern if you aren't getting all of the resources that are available through the programs and services that are available. So please consider, ask a lot of questions. Don't limit the questions that you want to ask so that you can feel getting your children into programming and then allowing them to stay in programming that's being offered. And I think Carla's organization can help here, even like the Literacy Network, the Flint Genesee Literacy Network. We answer questions, and even the Chamber, they answer questions as well. And everyone wants to be a help because we want every child accessing quality education and receiving the resources that are available for them here in this community. And parents, we want to help. So please, that's why we're here now. And we look so forward to seeing you say, well, that lady on the video said that you're willing to help me. And they will say, you're right. We do want to help you. So thank you so much, everyone that's joining us today. Thank you for having me participate on today. And I just look forward to hearing that we have more and more children engaged and more parents getting answers, questions they need to become and leaders for their families and their children.
Great. Thank you so much. Once again, I would like to thank my guest, Danielle Brown, Director of Partnership with Flint and Genesee Literacy Network. Thank you so much. Sharice McLean is from Genesee Intermediate School District, Parent Navigator at Educare and Cummings Great Expectations. And Carla Mancini from Community Programs Director of the Child Care Network. On behalf of the Flint and Genesee Area Chamber of Commerce, we thank you so much. I'm Dr. Kimberly Leverett, Executive Director of Education and Training. And one of our goals in terms of support for education is certainly cradle to careers. So it's very important for us, as Danielle and I were planning, it was very important to lift that. So that is also a critical part of the work that we do to ensure that at the earliest age possible, that we have the resources and expectations, and that parents and community members know that early childhood is viable. We can't do anything without it. It's very serious. It's data driven, and we have great leaders in this community that are leading the charge. So I thank you so much for everything that you do on behalf of our young learners. Thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of this afternoon. See y'all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.